Well, alrighty then, let's get this show on the road. You guys got the whole package together this time, right? Oh, yes, Brother Feely, we got the Alpacas all together right now. We got several of them. We just need the one whole package together. Whole package? We thought you said alpacas. What? What's that? Oh, you brought alpacas into the recording booth. What'd you do that for? Well, that's what you asked for. You said bring the alpacas. I said bring the whole package. Put the pictures up there. Gee whiz, this is Voices in My Head. And this is Feely with my knuckle-headed brothers, Neely, Berthold, and Buffin. And this is part 2 of 3 of Basil interviewing Jeffrey Kafer, also known as the Kafer. And notice in there I said nothing about alpacas. Now, what are you going to do with these things? Oh, well, we can't have him in here for the interview, I guess. So, put him in Basil's room. Yeah. Let's put him in Basil's room. It's a big room.
Let's see. What, the next thing.
I totally derailed your train of thought, didn't I?
No problem whatsoever.
Totally derailed it.
I actually run on a hovercraft. So, you know, my train of thought can shift directions at a whim, depending on what my leprechauns do. Right. So the of the time, so you were mentioning don't just run out there and start auditioning for titles. You get burned out. How do you pick titles on ACX?
The number one. Well, okay. So assuming that the titles are just up on ACX, the number one barometer that I use is you find out how many titles per month the unit is selling on Kindle. How do you find that out? You send a message to the rights holder. If they don't answer, you've got your answer.
There you go. And what's the difference between, you know, their total number of, well, I've had this many titles downloaded.
No, you know the answer to these questions, don't you?
Oh, I do. I'm egging you on. I'm letting you do my work for me.
Okay, all right. So, so download. So a lot of authors will put their books up for free on things like BookBub and BookGorilla, and then they'll tout, I had 100,000 downloads. Yeah, because anybody will download something if it's free. Come on. Right. You want to know how many people are actually buying the book. So don't be fooled by we had 100,000 downloads. I don't give a shit how many downloads you had. I want to know how many people bought it, because that's what they have to do for the audiobook. So the sales number is the key, I think. And if the author replies back and says, I'm selling 1,000 a month on Kindle, I will absolutely do that book on royalty share, even without a stipend.
Oh, yeah. Because you're guaranteed
I know it's
to get
sell.
A percentage of that, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to look at this as the long con. It's a long game. It's a 7-year investment. I sort of roll my eyes when I see people go, I finished my royalty share book. How much am I going to get this month? Dude, probably nothing. You got to look long term. Stop looking for the instant payoff. I know you're an American, but there's got to be a long-term investment here.
Right. It takes time. It takes time to build it. So
exactly.
Scenario. I want to be an audiobook guy.
You'll never make it. Oh, sorry. Well, sorry. I'm just kidding.
Don't get personal. Don't get personal. It's for the audience.
Yes, right.
So, what's the first step in picking the ACX audiobook that you want and then doing the job? Describe the process of going through that startup.
So this is assuming that you've already made an offer. You've already got an offer.
Okay. Yeah. You've done the audition. Someone, just last night I was coaching a friend of mine who was having a hard time uploading his first 15-minute piece of his first offer ever. And he's a professional actor. He's experienced. He's a voiceover guy, done animations, never done audiobooks in his life. And so called me from Vancouver at midnight saying, Basil, help me. So describe the process that you would go through as, when you're starting out, getting this stuff going through ACX.
Well, the first thing you do is you read the book. And I know that throws a lot of people off because that adds a lot of time to your schedule. But you got to read the book and have a real life horror story if you don't read the book of what can happen. So anyway, remind me and I'll tell you.
Right.
You read the book. You make notes if you want to. I don't. but a lot of people like to use iAnnotate and make notes. Cool, whatever. You record the first 15, you upload it. And once you get approval, so let's go back. I think it's a good idea in the beginning to set, I don't want to call them ground rules because that implies you're in charge, but you kind of have to have ground rules.
Okay.
With your rights holder, or you run into a problem where they start to micromanage. Your rights holder is not a director. Even if they're paying you $500 a finished hour, they're paying you to do a job. They're not paying you you're not beholden to every little creative decision on a whim that they want to do.
Right.
I hire a plumber to plumb my house. I am not going to critique every little thing he does. No, get the job done. That's my job, is to get the book narrated. That said, I'm open to pre-direction. If they have notes that they want to give me, if there's a certain way a character sounds, totally fine. Give it to me ahead of time. And I'll do what I can if it feels right. I'll take your notes into consideration.
Okay.
Beyond that, once the first 15 is approved, please don't give me any direction, because this process will take forever and we'll both be frustrated.
Right.
I say that a little more professionally to the narrator, but to the author, but I make sure that that's what's got to happen if you ever want this book to see the light of day.
Right.
So do the first 15, get some feedback. Hopefully it's not too micromanagey. I've not run into an author that's really micromanaged before, so I'm lucky in that regard. You record the book. In my case, I punch and roll. I send it off to an editor who also proofs, and she masters. Shout out to Amanda Rose. She's awesome.
She's cool.
Yeah, she's very cool. And that's it. And then I upload it. I mean, it's not rocket surgery.
So it's a pretty simple process. Yeah.
It is, once you know what you're doing and you're comfortable with it. It's really about comfort. I see a lot of people freaking out about the ACX mastering guidelines. Those are guidelines, people. The thing they want to make sure is that you don't have throughout your audio, and that it's, and it's not super quiet. It's just got to be a decent level. It's got to have relatively low noise, and it's got to sound okay.
Right.
Mastering is not a huge deal.
Now, when you're doing this stuff, how much mastering do you do? I mean, do you like run all kinds of filters through Audition or Reaper or whatever you're using to finalize the file? Or
I don't use a whole lot. Everybody's sound is different. I actually do mastering on the side for people. And the stack I make for people, the filters that I use is different for everybody. Based on how much, it depends how much noise they have. It depends on the voice. A lot of people are very sibilant, so I can sibilant. I can desibil them.
They're civilized people.
Yes,
they're very civilized. Them.
Yes, exactly. So how you master is dependent upon the quality of the audio.
Okay.
But again, I don't like people to get hung up on the mastering. Oh my God, mastering! What is this RMS thing? I'm like, to make sure you have a decent volume and it sounds good. ACX is not going to, probably won't kick you out if you haven't exactly met the guidelines.
Right. And I think that's a thing where a lot of, especially a lot of newbies or a lot of audiophiles fall into a trap of, it's got to be sounding perfect, But the majority of people, the majority of folks are going to be listening to this stuff in their car with traffic around them or working at the gym, and they got their headphones on, and they're not going to notice minor stuff. So
I would like to say one thing.
Yeah.
Lay off the noise reduction, please.
Ah, yes. So you don't want it to sound like this?
God. Yeah, I hear that a lot. And I understand people want to use the tools that are in their software and they want to get rid of the noise and they want it to sound great, but that is a Band-Aid solution.
Right.
If you're having throughout your audio, figure out what's causing it. It's probably a cable. Yeah. Usually that's an easy solution to fix. Right. Swap out your cables. You may have a noisy USB port. You may need to do something about that. Get a USB card that fits into your computer and use that instead.
Mm-hmm.
Troubleshoot the problem, figure it out. And we'll help you online. I mean, there's tons of people on Facebook who will help you. There's tons of gearheads who will help troubleshoot the problem you're having.
Oh yeah, and love to do that kind of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
when I first started, I had a nice $300 mixer that I was using that I had actually bought for my church. They upgraded. I took the one home that I had bought, and it was great until I plugged a USB cable into it.
Are
then
you
I
saying
had
you stole from your church?
I bought it. I loaned it to them. It's out of my own money.
Uh-huh.
I was on
Okay.
staff. What?
Nothing.
Okay, anyway, so I plugged the USB cable in, and there was a 40 kilohertz hissing sound all the way
Great.
through everything.
Yeah.
And it was just the USB port. You know,
Mhm.
This is a nice $300 mixer. Not the best, but not bad. But that they had a cheap USB port in it.
Yeah.
And it was unusable in that format. So
Right.
ended up with a, little preamp, and bang, it worked.
Yeah.
So
And along those lines, I mean, noise reduction should be used very, very gently, very delicately to just get rid of
right.
a little teeny tiny bit. And usually you don't even need, you can just gate it out or expand it out, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You will never, ever go wrong if your audio quality is good from the start. And that's something that I continually try to impress on people. Get your audio sounding good from the get-go.
Right. And, I've heard that from you, from guys like George Whittam and Dan Leonard. Same thing. Even all across the board, that's one of the key things. Be going well at the beginning, and you'll be good all the way through.
Well, this is Buffin, and that was the show that we brought you live with real live alpacas this time. And we hope to get them out of Basil's room and clean up the mess. Boy, those things sure can eat sheets and blankets and stuff. We're going to have to get them out of there someplace time soon. So anyway, have a wonderful time, and stick around for part 3 of the interview with Jeffrey Kafer, and hopefully we'll have all the mess cleaned up by then. This is Buffin. Bye. And copyright 2013. Basil Sands.